Alright, let's talk about that phone, the one that seems to defy time, logic, and honestly, sometimes common sense. The iPhone. Gen Z, totally hooked. Millennials, yeah, they're still defending it. Even boomers are like, where's the home button? And yet, everyone wants one. Why? Why does a device that, let's be real, hasn't dramatically changed in years, still manage to dominate the world's collective wishlist? Every iPhone, whether it's the iPhone 16, 15, or whatever number we're pretending is fresh this year, feels like slipping into a pair of worn-out sneakers. They look the same, they feel the same, heck, even the ads feel the same. Apple's been playing chess with our brains for over a decade. They've mastered the art of consistency. Remember the iPhone 10? The one that basically said, hey, forget buttons, here's your face. That was bold. But since then, Apple's been playing it safe, tweaking the same design with smaller bezels or bigger cameras. It's like taking one big risk and living off that glory forever. And the minis, they had their moment. The iPhone 12 mini and 13 mini were Apple's way of saying, we're listening. And for a brief second, the compact phone crowd rejoiced. But let's be real, Apple quickly figured out that bigger phones mean bigger price tags. And the mini? Yeah, it got sent to the shadow realm. Even now, comparing the iPhone 16 to the 15 or even the 14, it's like spotting the difference between twins in different lighting. That bezel shrink on the 16th? Yeah, we noticed, barely. A camera control button? That's newish. But when you line up the iPhone 12 through 16, it's less of a revolutionary lineup and more like a game of spot the difference. But let's be real here. Sometimes it's not even about the phone. It's about that logo. There's just something magical about seeing that bitten apple glowing on the back of your device. And in countries like Pakistan, India, and Indonesia, the obsession with the iPhone, it hits a whole new level. Here's the thing, in these regions, iPhones are crazy expensive. It's not just a phone, it's a status symbol. Owning an iPhone doesn't mean you have the best tech. It means you're telling the world, I've made it. People save for months, sometimes years, to buy one. And if the latest model is out of reach, no problem. You'll still see people proudly rocking an iPhone 8, an X, or even an SE. Because to them, it's still an iPhone. Apple doesn't just sell a device, they sell a dream. In these markets, owning an iPhone is like driving a luxury car or wearing designer sneakers. It's a flex. Even if the phone is 5 years old, that logo alone carries the weight of premium status. It's almost like a currency for social validation. And Apple knows this. They're not just in the business of selling tech, they're in the business of selling identity. That's why even older iPhones still look and feel premium. It's not a coincidence, it's completely intentional. And here's another thing that's absolutely wild. In many parts of the world, there's this widespread belief that iPhones have the best cameras in the world. TikTokers glamorize it, influencers flaunt it, and the narrative just sticks. Oh, you're serious about content creation, you need an iPhone. But hold up, let's be objective for a second. If you've been keeping up with MKBHD's annual blind camera tests, you'll know that's not necessarily true. Time and again, it's not the flagship iPhones, Samsungs, or other big-name giants taking the crown. It's Google's Pixel phones. And not even their flagships. More often than not, it's the affordable Pixel A series. It's kind of hilarious when you think about it. These influencers and celebrities hyping up iPhones. Sure, they look great on social media, but guess what? So do most phones in the same price range. Strip away the logo, hide the brand, and you'll see the iPhone camera isn't automatically the best. It's good, yes, but leagues ahead of the competition? Nope. Brands like OnePlus, Xiaomi, and Google's Pixel phones, especially with their computational photography, frequently embarrass phones that cost twice as much. If you dig deeper, it's clear this is all about marketing and perception. Apple's secret sauce isn't just their camera hardware, it's how they sell you the idea of the iPhone being the best at everything. And in markets where the iPhone is already seen as a status symbol, that narrative, it gets taken at face value. Here's where Apple really flexes. Their marketing isn't shouting at you. No one's saying, this is a groundbreaking phone. Instead, it's a whisper. You're not upgrading for the phone, you're upgrading for you. That's manipulation at its peak. You're not just buying a gadget, you're buying status, simplicity, and a slice of the cool pie. And the rumors. There's this promise of hidden brilliance. Like this year they hyped up their AI, or as they like to call it, Apple Intelligence. It just sounds special, doesn't it? Apple doesn't just sell you an iPhone, they sell you a lifestyle, and they make it so hard to leave. iMessage, AirDrop, FaceTime, they're digital handcuffs. And your MacBook, it talks to your iPhone. Your Apple Watch, basically useless without one. And don't even think about leaving if your friends have a group chat full of blue bubbles. Nobody wants to be that person turning it green. Apple's genius? It's making you feel like you're moving forward, while keeping you rooted firmly in the past. Here's another reason people swear by iPhones: the belief that they're more secure and easier to use. And yeah, Apple leans into that narrative hard. With their lockdown ecosystem, regular updates, and fewer high-profile hacks, they've definitely earned their reputation for privacy and security. But does that mean Android is crap? Not really. The real issue? It's perception. Android gets labeled as fragmented. Too many brands, too many updates, too much hassle. But here's the thing. If you're not buying the cheapest knockoff Android, you're probably getting a phone that's just as secure, and it's more customizable and feature-packed. Think of it like this. iPhones are the reliable, straightforward choice everyone trusts. Android? It's the high-performance machine you actually need to learn how to drive. Neither is inherently better. It's all about what you prioritize. But here's the kicker. All the sameness is exactly what makes the iPhone so enticing. It's reliable, predictable, safe. People trust it. Sure, Android flagships might be more advanced, more powerful, more everything. But for most people, the iPhone's strength is that it never feels like a gamble. And yeah, it's expensive. They're not just selling a phone, they're selling exclusivity. You're not buying specs, you're buying identity. It's the same reason people want Yeezys or a Tesla. So, is the iPhone manipulative? Oh, absolutely. But it's also comforting, familiar, effortlessly desirable. Apple doesn't want you to question it. They've turned upgrades into a ritual. The tech? That's secondary. The real innovation? It's how Apple makes you feel like you are part of something bigger than just a phone. And that's why year after year, we're still lining up for another rectangle with slightly smaller bezels. Crazy, isn't it? Think different may have been their slogan, but honestly, they're banking on us thinking exactly the same. So, what do you think? Time to upgrade? Or maybe, just maybe, hold on to that 17 for one more year?